Chosen one. Don't scroll past this because this is not a coincidence. This message is extremely urgent, and it is meant only for those who are truly walking on God's path. If you're here to mock or just out of curiosity, leave immediately. But if you know deep in your soul that you are a chosen one, then this video has found you at the exact moment He ordained. Today, God has a clear command for you. Close your mouth and listen to me. He is absolutely serious about this. This is not a suggestion or a symbol, but a divine strategy to protect your destiny. Maybe you have talked too much, explained too much, and tried too hard to defend yourself. But heaven is demanding absolute stillness. Why is God stopping you? What is He doing behind the scenes? And why will your obedience right now change everything completely? Don't let your words leak the power He has given you. Stay until the end, because this secret will save your journey. The supreme meaning of the command to be silent. In the challenging journey of a chosen one, there are seasons when the sky seems to become strangely quiet. You pray but don't see a clear answer. You work hard, but every door seems to slam shut in front of you. Don't mistake that for abandonment or as a sign of failure. In reality, this is when God is releasing a life or death command, a spiritual military strategy reserved for His most elite warriors. Be silent. This is not rhetorical advice. This is a decree. When He says close your mouth, He is establishing an absolute security zone around your destiny. Silence is not emptiness. It is powerful preparation. Let's break down the 3 core layers of this command, so you understand why sealing your lips is your greatest weapon right now. First, you must understand that silence is a divine protective barrier. There is a harsh truth in the spiritual world. Not everyone in your life is happy to see you rise. When God begins placing great seeds, breakthrough plans into your soul, that is also when you become a target of envy and negative energy. Revealing the plan too early, while everything is still forming and sensitive, is like bringing a raw diamond into the middle of a crowd full of thieves. Silence becomes a divine camouflage layer. He is hiding you not to isolate you, but to protect the shaping of your soul from cheap judgments, conflicting opinions, and even unseen curses from those who do not want you to succeed. Look at nature's great law. A seed can only complete its mission when it lies still alone in the dark soil. If it is dug up to show off too soon before its roots go deep, it will die immediately in the first storm. God is keeping you in the dark room of stillness so He can work behind the scenes without interference. He is quietly rearranging the pieces, removing obstacles, and preparing a rich table for you in front of your enemies. Obedience through silence is how you confirm my plan belongs to God, and no human hand has the right to touch it before the appointed time. The second layer goes deeper. Silence stops the leakage of your inner power. The biggest mistake chosen ones make in early seasons is trying to explain their path to people who do not have the capacity to understand. How many times have you felt drained, empty, and confused after a long argument just to defend your vision? That's because every word you speak to justify yourself, to seek validation from people not on your frequency, is a moment you leak your own spiritual strength. A chosen one's power lives in absolute focus. When you use language to convince the blind of the beauty of light, you waste the precious fuel that should be used to connect with the Most High. Silence is like an arrow set on the bowstring and pulled back to its limit. The arrow's strength is not in the noise it makes, but in the compression of tension, in complete stillness. The quieter you become, the more inner force you store. The less you explain, the sharper your vision becomes. God wants you to keep that breath, that excitement, those revelations for Him. Don't let unnecessary words dilute the power He is pouring into you. When you stop seeking the world's approval, you begin to hear heaven's whisper with more clarity and authority than ever before. Finally, the command to be silent is the ultimate test of discipline and trust. The weak and the ego-driven feel a desperate need to speak, to perform, to be acknowledged. They fear silence because in stillness they feel worthless and forgotten. But for a mature, chosen one, silence is the symbol of supreme power. When you accept silence by His command, you practice a steel discipline. You are declaring to the entire universe, I do not need the world to understand me in order to know my value. God's approval is enough. This is the moment you cut the last chain tying your soul to public opinion. This stillness purifies you, removes the noise of selfish ego, and brings you back to your true nature. It is the posture of a king watching his kingdom from above, calm, dignified, and never needing to explain his presence to anyone. You accept being misunderstood, being labeled a failure or a loner in the eyes of people just to gain absolute obedience to God's plan. Because you know one thing for certain: when the time is ripe, when He allows you to speak again, your words will no longer be empty sounds. They will carry the weight of truth enough to shake even the hardest hearts. Remember, this silence is not a meaningless void. It is revolutionary preparation. You are in the incubation season of your greatest blessings. Guard your lips. Guard your soul. Let silence complete its sacred mission in your life. Don't rush, don't panic, because the result of this quiet obedience will be an echo that shakes the world. The trap of speaking too much: why words can destroy a blessing. After understanding the sacred meaning of silence, we must face an even harsher reality. Why is speaking too much so dangerous for a chosen one? Why does your own mouth sometimes become the greatest barrier, blocking the flow of destiny that God has carefully arranged? Remember, in the spiritual world, words are not just sound. They are seeds, blueprints, and they can also become deadly openings. The first and most important reason you must engrave into your spirit: revealing too early directly drains the inner force of breakthrough. Picture your life right now like an arrow pulled tight on a bowstring. The arrow's real power isn't in the moment it cuts through the wind. It's in the compression of tension, in absolute silence. If you release when the tension is not strong enough, or when the target has not fully revealed itself, the arrow will drop halfway and never reach the divine destination. Words follow the same law. When God gives you a vision, a business idea, or an inner transformation, He wants you to incubate it in secrecy so the energy can build. But when you rush to tell people your plans just to satisfy a temporary rush, you unintentionally release the energy that was meant for execution. Their applause becomes a false dopamine hit, tricking your mind into feeling like you already succeeded, and you lose real hunger and real drive to act. Don't let the vanity of your mouth slow the breakthrough heaven is running behind the scenes. Second, there is a sobering truth. Every chosen one must wake up to the enemy. Can't read your thoughts, but it is a master at listening. Dark forces, jealous people, and negative energies around you are always watching for an opening. And the biggest opening often comes from your own complaints, fears, or plans you speak during weak moments. When you expose your anxiety to the world, you accidentally give the enemy a detailed map to strike the deepest wounds in your soul. When you reveal great plans before they take shape, you invite gossip, doubt, and spiritual resistance to disturb the process. Silence is how you operate in stealth mode. It leaves the enemy disoriented, unable to locate the target, and without a foothold to attack your plan. Keep your mind an unbreakable fortress by sealing your lips. Remember, a wise warrior never announces his strategy before the battle begins. Finally, speaking too much shackles you to unnecessary pressure from other people's expectations. When you announce what you plan to do, you sign an invisible contract with the crowd. From that moment on, instead of listening to God's subtle direction, you start performing the role others expect. You begin to fear failure, not because of the failure itself, but because you fear judgment from those who heard you declare it. You fear being called all talk if results don't come on schedule. That fear makes your steps heavy and steals your peace and freedom in faith. God wants you walking to His rhythm, not the timeline of public opinion. When you are silent, you keep the right to change, the right to fail, and the right to start again without explaining yourself to anyone. Silence frees you from the burden of pleasing the world, so you can fully obey Him alone. Unstop, seeking understanding from people who are not on your journey. Don't throw your pearls to those who do not recognize their value. Silence does not make you smaller. It makes your power more concentrated. When you are silent, you are not only protecting the plan, you are protecting your soul from the chains of pride and the poisoned arrows of envy. Let obedience in stillness become your sharpest weapon, because when God moves, results will be the loudest answer. No words can match. The secret behind the scenes, what is really happening in the stillness. Have you ever felt forgotten? like you are standing in a vast dark room where your efforts get no response, your voice disappears into nothing, and your presence seems to matter to no one. Don't let that loneliness deceive you. This is not abandonment and it is not punishment. You are in the center of a divine concealment operation. God is hiding you, not to remove you, but to shape you into a masterpiece the world has never seen. Let's go deeper into what is truly happening behind the curtain of this stillness. The first reason God is forcing you into silence and hiding is to protect the finishing process. Think about how the greatest life is formed in this world. A baby needs darkness and secrecy in the womb to develop its most complex organs. A masterpiece painting needs privacy in the artist's studio. The painter never displays the canvas while the strokes are unfinished, because ignorant criticism can ruin the original vision. God is the same. He is the supreme artist, and you are his masterpiece. He is hiding you in the dark room to protect your soul's reconstruction from cheap judgment, toxic doubt, and jealous energy from the world. If you were displayed too soon before your strength is stable and your identity is fully formed, public pressure would suffocate your destiny. This hiding proves your priceless value. You are too important to be introduced carelessly. Be patient in the darkness, because when the curtain lifts at the appointed time, your appearance will not be a search for attention. It will be a powerful declaration that leaves everyone stunned. The second layer of stillness is a ruthless but necessary inner purification. Its main goal is to strip away your dependence on the world. Ask yourself, how long have you lived on other people's approval? How long has your self-worth been controlled by praise and empty compliments? In this absolute stillness, God is cutting those psychological octopus tentacles. He is forcing you to face yourself where only you and his presence remain. This is where you learn to stand even when no one supports you. This is where you realize human understanding is unnecessary when you already have heaven's confirmation. When you reach the place where you are okay, even when misunderstood, when you no longer crave to defend or explain yourself, that is when you are truly free. Stillness does not steal your voice. It helps you find a new voice, a voice that cannot be shaken by circumstances, a voice that carries the sound of holy confidence. You are learning to be a chosen one without an audience, because the only audience you need is the one who called your name from the beginning. Finally, silence is the tool God uses to perform major surgery on your relationships. You don't need dramatic confrontations to leave people who no longer fit. Your silence will do the work naturally and precisely. Imagine silence like an ultra-fine filter. When you stop explaining, stop reacting, and stop feeding pointless conversations, people not on your frequency will become uncomfortable. They cannot tolerate your stillness because it reflects their emptiness. They will leave on their own, or their true intentions will be exposed without you speaking a word. Silence helps you cut off toxic connections, people who only come to drain you and dilute your vision. Don't mourn what disappears in this season. God is not taking your friends. He is clearing space for higher connections, people who will arrive after you complete your training in stillness. Let time remove masks around you and trust that those truly assigned to your destiny will honor even your silence. So, chosen one, don't struggle to escape this stillness too soon. Don't turn on lights when God wants you in darkness to shape your soul. Let hiding complete its protection. Let purification complete its healing. Let stillness complete its repositioning in your life. You are not lost in emptiness. You are being placed in the exact position to receive an unshakable glory. Remember, the greatest things are always prepared in the deepest secrecy. The life or death difference, holy silence or fear-based silence. In a chosen one's journey, discernment is the ultimate weapon. Here is the life or death question you must ask your soul. Am I silent because I'm obeying heaven's strategy, or am I silent because my ego is afraid? The line between a divine command and psychological paralysis is thin, but outcomes are as opposite as heaven and hell. If you confuse them, you won't protect your destiny, you will build a prison for yourself. The first difference is your inner posture. Holy silence always comes from power and self-mastery. It is when you choose not to speak because you already know you have won even before the battle begins. You are silent because you hold a great secret with the Most High, and you don't need the world's validation to know you are right. It gives you deep peace, mountain-like stability in the middle of storms. You are silent to observe, to listen to heaven's heartbeat, and to wait for the right moment to strike with precision. Fear-based silence tastes bitter anxiety and escape. You stay quiet because you fear judgment, fear conflict, or fear that if you speak the truth, the world will reject you. This is the silence of a slave trembling under the whip of public opinion. It doesn't bring peace, it brings suffocation. If you feel depressed, resentful, or like a stone is crushing your chest because you can't speak your truth, that is the signature of fear. God never tells you to be silent to make you weak. He tells you to be silent to make you a king in hiding, waiting for the crown. Don't confuse guarding your mouth to protect a blessing with being mute because you're afraid to face truth. Look honestly at your emotions in your quietest hours. When you practice holy silence, your soul rests. It is the posture of absolute faith. Be still and know that I am God. You no longer need to shout to prove your worth. You no longer need to clear your name in front of lies. This silence heals you, recharges you, and gives you vision to see through the world's deception. But if silence makes you feel wounded, small, or oppressed, that is the trap of the ego. The ego often borrows the label spiritual silence to hide pain and crushed self-respect. True silence never makes you feel less, it makes you feel elevated in full control. If your stillness does not carry strength and quiet joy, be careful. You may be imprisoned by fear, wearing a spiritual mask. Finally, look at the fruit your silence produces. Holy silence always becomes a platform for explosive action. It is like pulling back a bowstring. The longer the stillness, the stronger the release. When a chosen one steps out of holy silence and speaks, those words carry the weight of truth and can change outcomes, even shake entire systems around them. Fear-based silence produces stagnation, regret, and missed opportunities. It turns you into a shadow drifting through life, afraid to seize destiny because of risk. God tells you to guard your lips to protect His plan, not to become invisible or weak in front of evil. Ask yourself right now, are you silent because you trust the power of the one who called your name, or are you silent because you lack courage to walk in His light? Don't let fear borrow the name of faith to trap you in the darkness of smallness. Part 5. Practical guidance. The tactics of stillness to receive breakthrough. Knowledge without action is only the burden of wisdom. For silence to become a real weapon that transforms your life, you need specific daily tactics. This is how a chosen one moves in the world without belonging to it, turning stillness into a steel spiritual discipline to receive the greatest breakthrough. The first and most important practice is the art of pausing before reacting. In every conversation, especially when you are criticized, misunderstood, or tempted to brag about an opportunity, use the 5-second rule. Don't answer immediately. In those 5 seconds, ask your soul, is this word necessary? Does it serve my heavenly purpose, or is it only feeding my ego for a moment? That 5-second stillness is where you take control back from instinct. When you don't react to provocation, you neutralize the other person's power. You will be shocked how much of what we want to say comes from a need for approval or fear of being disrespected. By staying silent, you keep 100% of your energy and leave the other person confused by your unusual calm. Remember, the one who speaks last often holds the real power. Instead of venting, complaining, or describing your plans to people around you, build the habit of turning words into a private conversation with God. Pour your anxieties, desires, and even your boldest plans into private prayer or into the pages of a hidden journal. Why does this matter? Because when you tell humans, the energy of that plan scatters into the air. But when you speak only to God, that energy compresses and turns into execution power. Journaling or praying in stillness clarifies vision without being polluted by other people's opinions. It builds a secret control room in your spirit where you prepare for the future explosion. Don't bring your pearls to the world for pricing. Bring them back to the one who created them. The final tactic is setting silent boundaries. You don't need to announce that you are being quiet. Do it subtly. Reply slower. Join fewer pointless conversations. Be willing to be misunderstood without explaining yourself. This silence becomes a natural filter. The people who truly matter and truly understand you will stay. The ones who came for noise and curiosity will leave. Accepting misunderstanding is the highest form of sacrificing the ego. When you place spiritual obedience above social approval, you send a powerful signal to heaven that you are ready for a new level of authority. You are making room for God to work, and when He moves, He will do it in a way so loud that all your previous explanations will become unnecessary. Chosen one's silence is not punishment, it is privilege. It is time to recharge, to be protected, and to be elevated. Walk in the stillness of a king carrying God's secret in your heart. When the appointed time arrives, the world will not hear your explanations. They will see the great results of your quiet obedience. If you made it to these final moments of the video, you are a soul ready for breakthrough. Remember, your greatest power is in silence. Press like to confirm your commitment to this process, and don't forget to comment the number 777 to connect with the energy of wholeness and holiness. Hold your faith, hold your stillness. I'll see you again in the glory of destiny.